order to scale from like 6 figures a month to 7 figures a month and like really do big boy numbers, it all comes down to
What is good, Oliver? How are you doing, brother? Not long time no see, man. Long time no see.
I'm good, bro. I'm good. How are you? Looks like
I'm
you have some
doing
really
good.
nice mountains behind you. Where are you calling it from again?
The usual, dude. I'm back in Argentina, feeling good,
Fuck yeah.
feeling locked in with this view. It's hard to not be locked in with this view behind me. So let me
Awesome,
give
bro.
you a little bit background on what I'm thinking for this podcast. This is, I think, going to be the first episode, first or second, depending on
Wow.
on guest scheduling, but we'll see.
What an honor.
There's a bunch of podcasts out there where people go into their story. This is not going to be that. I've heard your story.
Right.
If anyone else wants to hear it, quick synopsis: Oliver's wonder kid scaled an e-com brand to $1 million a month at 21. Yada yada yada. If you want to hear that story, you can check it out on YouTube. I'm sure there's a bunch of videos there. But here, we're here to extract the sauce from Oliver about SaaS specifically. How does that sound, Oliver?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. It sounds like I'm in the hot seat. So
You
let's
are.
do it.
I am gonna put you in the hot seat. The goal is today is to extract your battle tested knowledge that SaaS founders who are listening can apply to their business immediately. I'm gonna try to get you to reveal some of your secrets that you maybe don't want to reveal. But that's how it goes. All right. So you got a big win in e-com. Why did you decide to switch over to SaaS?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that there were a lot of challenges that I felt being in the e-commerce space, and I felt was not as prevalent in software. I will say now, after a couple of years being in the software space, that the grass is always greener, and you give something up for something else. But let's dive into it. When I was running Tabs, there were a couple of issues that I had. Number one was inventory planning. We were a fast-growing startup, having crazy growth month over month, also relying on viral traffic, and so it was almost impossible to predict the swings and the valleys and troughs. And so that made having inventory and having stock incredibly challenging to predict and to act on. Additionally, you have to deal with the supply chain and manufacturers overseas as well as domestic manufacturers. There are a lot of different moving parts. And so I could say that like in our first year when I was running Tabs, we were out of stock and in pre-order for more time than we had inventory, right? So that was like a huge issue, and that was like a huge like headache and complexity. And I was like, oh, like with software, there's no issue with that, right? You're always in stock. You always have inventory.
Yeah, as long as you have a good dev, you can scale to the moon.
Right.
When that viral video hits, you're good to go.
Right. Also, I'm like a little nervous. I'm still getting into it. Second guessing what I'm saying, which is not good. But the second thing is like with Tabs was like, dude, chocolate melts, right? Chocolate melts over the summertime. Like there were a lot of logistics issues. And again, I was like, okay, software, like you're not dealing with anything like that. Third is with e-commerce, I felt like the iteration cycle was super slow. What do I mean by that? Well, like in order to improve your product, you have to go back and forth with like manufacturers and suppliers, and they work on it, then they send you out a sample. It takes a month. Then you want like another iteration done. It takes another month. By the time it's all said and done, it can take like 6 months and a year to make like an adjustment to your product. Also, you have like inventory, like in a warehouse, and you're not going to be able to push out like the V2 or the V3 or the V4 until you sell out of the V1. Yep. And so as a result, I don't feel like e-commerce lends itself well to focusing on constant iterations and constant improvement of product. Yeah. Whereas with software, you're able to be way more agile, move way more quickly, and have a shorter feedback loop, right? And I find that very interesting, and that's something that really pulls me into software, is that everything is like very measurable, analytical, and there's constant opportunity to improve. What do I mean by that? Improve every single part of the business, from the onboarding to the paywall, to the customer experience, or the accuracy, or the efficiency, or the efficacy, like whatever it is. Like every single piece of the business, you can figure out like once it's built, how to just start like spinning dials almost, and like how to like optimize like little parts.
Yep.
and you increase this by 3%, you increase that by 5%, increase that by 8%, and all of a sudden, like, you're able to radically improve the product, and that is tied very closely to the P&L. As you improve your product, you see, reductions in churn, like improvements in retention, like revenue increase. And so I honestly feel like the biggest reason why, like, I like SaaS more so than e-commerce is I feel like there's a bigger incentive to focus on what you're building and the value that you're providing. Whereas with e-commerce, it almost felt like you're kind of just moving inventory,
Yeah, I mean,
and you're just
honestly,
kind of like a glorified marketer.
from an outsider's perspective, just watching you operate, I think you are one of the fastest, most intense operators that I've seen. So I think the SaaS model really just fits you better, because if you want to implement 10 changes in a week, that's possible in SaaS. But whereas, like you were saying with e-com, you have all these delays to figure out. You have to worry about the inventory planning. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense just from what I know about you.
Right. And then
I'm,
also,
I'm
like, not to mention, like, zero cost of goods, like
Of
infinitely
course,
scalable, like, crazy margins. Like,
yeah,
that's also like pretty exciting and enticing. And like, dude, with software, I feel like you can kind of, like, the only limit is like your imagination, right? Like, you could
100%.
pretty much like build anything and everything, and like it's super customizable. Whereas with ecom, like, there are a lot more constraints.
Yeah, 100%. So in your transition to SaaS, I remember one of the things I've seen you say about when you started Tabs was that you pick the product that would be engineered for virality. I know that we're not going to go into what the specific product that you built previously in SaaS is for privacy reasons, but how did you think about applying that same methodology to your new company when you made that transition into SaaS?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think that as a marketer first, I think, like, quite inversely than like most entrepreneurs and founders. Like, I lead with, like, okay, what has potential, what has opportunity. And when I say potential and opportunity, like, I mean very specifically, like, what has potential and opportunity to be pushed on, like, TikTok or on short form or on paid ads. Like, that's kind of like more so like the criteria that I look at, because like that's my skill set, that's my core competency, that's like what I have, like, a competitive advantage and edge over everybody out there. And so, like, I want to pick like a product or a concept or a tool that lends itself well to my strengths, so that I know I can, move quickly, right? Like, I'm
Yep,
not going to start like a real estate, like, like construction company, like, because like, what the fuck do I know about that, right?
of
But
course.
like, dude, I know how to make things go viral. Like, I know how to build, like, for social media first. And so that's kind of, the methodology that I use, to build concepts. And
Yeah,
then in terms of like going like a step deeper, like, I think it's important to let other people do the groundwork and the heavy lifting and the validating for you, um, you know, and take inspiration as to like kind of what you're seeing that's working well, like, already on the market, and then figuring out how you could do that better. Whether that be from like an operational standpoint, a marketing standpoint, a product standpoint, like, there's a lot of really like incredible stuff that's happening, and the market's a really really big place. Like, you should never be dissuaded and be like, oh, like, somebody's already doing it, right? Like, to me,
yeah.
like,
I that
that's like
is
more that's like more signal, like
Yep,
the right, like, the new entrepreneur is like, oh fuck, like,
a
somebody
hundred
like
percent.
already has like the same, like, my same idea, like, I can't do that. Like, if the way that I look at it is like, listen, um if these like two idiots that don't know anything about marketing are able to like push numbers on something, off, or like, or if this guy has like a super like mediocre product and is doing $40,000 a month with it, with just like making a couple YouTube videos about it or whatever it may be, right?
Yep.
Then it's like, surely, like, I can come in and kind of make a dent in the space.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I see, especially people like myself who are developers first, get caught up on that all the time. They don't realize that the market is a massive, massive, massive place, and all you really have to do is one thing better than someone else. And sometimes you don't have to do anything better than someone else, and the product can still work.
Right.
So I think
Dude,
that's
and
a
I
super
already
great
and
point.
I already and I already hear the pushback of like you're like, oh, like, oh, like, isn't that like unethical,
Yeah.
like you're stealing somebody's idea. Like, dude, here's the deal. This is how innovation works. Okay. Like innovation does not happen like overnight where like we go from a horse and buggy to like a Lamborghini. Like what happens is like somebody like, builds a horse and buggy and then somebody builds a buggy that has a tiny better wheel or a tiny better like, I don't know, like a back end process that cuts through the wind a little bit better. Or instead of for one horses, it's two horses.
Yeah.
And over time, right? Like you can kind of like see the picture that I'm painting. It goes from, buggy to slightly faster buggy to maybe like buggy with like a steam engine to buggy with the steam engine plus this, and eventually evolves and morphs into something that's incredible and something that people couldn't even think about. So like that is actually like how innovation happens. It's not like, from one thing to completely like transformation. It's like the culmination of, decades of micro adjustments and improvements and people taking concepts that worked and improving one thing or a small thing and working off of, off of other people. And the other thing that I'll say too is that, competition is what creates an efficient market, right? Like if there's only one player doing it, like, maybe your edge is like, hey, I'm going to do the same thing, but like do it cheaper. Now the initial company that was charging a lot has to reduce their prices. It's better for the consumers. So I don't know. And here's what I'll also say is that like anybody that I see that's like an experienced entrepreneur and that's like crushing it, like in the consumer space, like lives and breathes this. Like I'm taking inspiration from one brand for their website. I'm taking another like inspiration from another brand because of their email flows. I'm taking inspiration from another brand because of like their product packaging. And I'm basically like, for me, like that's how I build brand. That's how I build businesses, is like it's constant studying of people that are already out there that are doing it better than me and trying to basically implement and extract like the very best gems and pearls that I can from all of the different players.
Yep. And I think at that point that's when it becomes that's where we can really see the difference between just like someone who is trying to copycat someone's product exactly versus someone who's going to win.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Right.
not scared when I there's been multiple times where people I've seen exact copycats of Drippy pop up, and that never has worried me. What will worry me is the day that I see someone that's copycatting us, but then also doing something a little bit better, because those are the people who are
Right.
going to win for sure.
Well, dude, the people that just copycat will never win because, and actually, like we were talking about it, like with I was actually talking about it with a friend the other day. There are a couple things. Like, first is that like what you see on like the surface level and like what you see like from your naked eye is not enough to win because there's so much stuff going on in the back end that makes what you see with your naked eye possible. What do I mean by that? Like, let's say I see like, okay, like Drippy is running this Facebook ad. Let me like steal Drippy's Facebook ad. But if I don't have like the same sort of split testing on pricing that you do, or like the email or SMS flows in the back end, or like the, ascension from a Drippy subscriber to a high ticket, paying customer. If I don't have like the machine that you've spent, years building out, I could run the same ad as you. I could run the same product page as you. I could have the same product as you. But at the end of the day, you're able to make money off of that ad spend, and I'm going to be taking a loss, right? Yeah. So like, that's like number one. Number two is that like a lot of things that you see a brand doing today is not what got them there, right? Like you see like Gymshark doing like a fancy pop-up, like in the best store in New York City. Like now, like I like, oh, like that's what I should do because like Gymshark's doing that. Like I need to do like like just because like they're doing that now isn't like, like the engine or the machine that got them there to begin with. Yeah, right. 100%. And so like that's also like something that's like important to know. So like, dude, I'm like super like anti like ripping. Like people that are like ripping shit like one-to-one and think that they're gonna make money, like they're super lazy, like they're never gonna make it. Like best of luck. But if you're smart, you are keeping tabs on everything that's going on that you're seeing. You understand who the best of the best are, and you're taking notes and you're implementing the very best from the very best in all the different domains that make up your operation and your machine, in order to create something great.
Yeah, 100%, man. So a few months ago, we were having a conversation. We were catching up for the first time in a while, and you casually mentioned something offhand to me that I don't think you even realized was a big deal. But you're kind of like, yeah, things have been on the back burner with my SaaS for a little while. I've just been running ads, and we've been making X MRR. I'm not going to say it. I'll let you say the numbers if you want to say
I
the
can say it,
numbers.
180K MRR. Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? I'm not running at my ads are not getting me 180K MRR. So that's what I want to go really deep into with you now is what is the playbook for creating paid ads that print money as a B2C or just if you want to say in general B2B software company? Like what are you doing? What do you know that I don't know about running ads?
Yeah. Um, I wouldn't say like I'm like the most knowledgeable at like running ads or like the best ads guy, but I'm happy to kind of drop some sauce and dive into some of the tactics. Um, Here's what I'll say is that like a brand that's successful at running ads, again, there's a lot more to that brand than what meets the naked eye. And
Right.
oftentimes like their strength is not in the ad account, but it's in like a landing page that's fully optimized, right? That's like, the conversion rate optimization is like to the max. Or like
Mhm.
they have like a sequence of like upsells and cross sells where they're able to squeeze out like a godly amount of dollars for every single website visitor or customer that like none of their competitors are able to, right? And so like that's how they're able to scale. That's
Mhm.
actually a friend of mine runs a mushroom gummy brand. I'm not going to say the name, but their landing page is, first of all, A1, but second of all, the customer journey is just like ridiculous. You add it to your cart, you go to your cart, there are upsells in the cart. Then you go to check out and you get hit with a pop-up saying like add two more bags for like the price of one. Then in the checkout, there are more upsells and cross-sells. Then person, and so like they're able to basically turn a customer that would have spent $40 into a customer that spent $100. Now, that mushroom gummy brand has the same CAC as every mushroom gummy brand, right? Like but the difference is that they're able to squeeze out $100 while most people are only able to squeeze out $50. And so they're able to win the game and beat the market because they're able to afford a higher CAC than the LTV of their competitor, right?
Mhm.
And so again, like what like a lot of times like winning in paid ads is not necessarily like the media buying or the ad creative. It's like having like a really cracked machine and system behind you, where you're just simply able to monetize off of the impressions and the website visitors better than everybody else.
Right.
Um,
So
Another
so
example is, yeah,
so
go ahead.
I'd love to jump in then to like how do you think about maximizing LTV for your SaaS company? Like what things are you doing to maximize LTV?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So like first thing is like price testing. That's something that we've done a lot with. We've tested monthly billing, different amounts. We've tested like trial offers. We've tested like, hey, like come in for free, and then after a week we bill you, or after 3 days we bill you, or actually, what I found works better than that is like actually charging 99 cents, for the trial period, and then rebilling. But like, dude, like we've played a lot with like price testing, when to show the paywall. Like, do we like paywall right away on the landing page? Do we paywall once they've used the product a little bit? So when I talk about price testing, it actually even goes beyond just like playing around with the dollars, but actually like again placement. Offer testing is like a huge one. That's
Mhm.
something like I've heard a lot of e-com guys talk about, where sometimes like like the offer is bigger than anything else. Where it's like, hey, like buy this and get a mystery gift, or like get this and then also get access to this, that, and that. Right? Where like these are also all like I would call it price tests, but are more than just the pricing. That can have like a very real, tangible impact.
Right.
But to Yeah, go ahead.
So when you're trying to set things up, are you looking at it as like we can get clicks for X dollars and we know that people are going to convert at this rate and then you're just going to kind of keep those ads running that are going to send you that traffic and then just try to maximize the LTV from there? Because I've always thought there's like a lot going on in the ads account itself. But it sounds like what you're saying is no, that's not really where you should be focusing your time. You should be focusing your time on the funnel,
Well,
on
it's on
upselling people.
everything. It's
Okay.
it's on everything. It's on everything, right? Like, and I think like that's just something that I wanted to like point out because I feel like a lot of people miss that where like they're
Yeah.
like living and breathing like inside the ad account and they're like, oh my god, like this guy must be a magician, but it's
Right.
like also like they're neglecting like a whole lot of like other important factors and influences that make a really big deal. Like another thing is like, dude, like your product needs to be really fucking good, right? Because like
Of course.
if you're sending website visitors that are then like churning after the first week or after like the first month, like you're kind of cooked from the start too. Like it doesn't matter how good your ads are or how good your media buying is. Like again, like if the back end doesn't support that. And so like that's what I was really trying to point out is I'm not saying like your ad creative doesn't matter, the media buying doesn't
Mhm.
matter. It's just like I think like everybody really focuses on on that without understanding like hey like there there are bigger pieces at play here and there are more important I think levers at play here that will influence the success of of being able to run paid ads. um,
Right.
yeah.
Right. That makes sense. So are you in the ad accounts yourself these days, or do
Yeah.
you have someone in
Yeah.
there taking care of it for you? No, that's all you.
I'm in, yeah, I'm in the ad account myself. Well, when I first started off running Facebook ads for one of the SaaS companies that I'm working on, um, I actually was working with an e-com guy. His name is Alex. He was like a 17-year-old kid and like an affiliate wizard, like this drop shipping and affiliate marketer. This guy's does like I think like $4 million a month now, like on his own like internal stuff. The guy's crazy, like a crazy kid. And so he was actually the one that kind of got me set up on Facebook ads and got like set up from the start. Um, but yeah, eventually I began running them myself. Alex, like, dude, love the kid to death, and
Mhm.
the kid's brilliant. But I mean, like, the man's a loose cannon. Like, he
Yeah.
like disappeared in Dubai, and then he like had this whole thing with he's a crazy driver, and he has a crazy like supercar. And I'm not gonna get into that, but had some issues there. So anyway, I had to unfortunately like take things into my own hands. So
Yep.
I was running the ads, and then eventually like ended up like outsourcing it to like a friend of mine who's like runs a media buying agency. Um, but figured like I wanted to learn the skill myself. I wanted to understand kind of what he was doing, and also like quite frankly, like from being close to him and having very candid conversations, like a lot of a lot of it came down to A, the creatives,
Mhm.
B, like testing and framework, and C, just like giving Meta time to run and spend and collect data and feedback and optimize and results. And so I was like, you know what? Instead of paying like an agency service, I'd love to pay you for like a consulting call like once a
Mhm.
week, because like that's what he's recommending anyway, like only touching shit like once a week, right? So I was like, why don't I pay you once a week? We'll do like an audit of the account. We'll go through everything, break things down, talk about next steps. And instead of paying $3,000 a month, I'm paying $1,000 a month, $250 for an hour call, or it was a half an hour call. I don't remember,
Are
and
there are there
yeah,
any
that's what I was
specific
doing.
pieces of wisdom from Alex that you learned during those calls that you think people might not know or might benefit from?
Hmm. Number one, I would say is like testing. Like, and I think like this is like some wisdom that I've gotten from like like the best is like we were talking about the price testing and the offer testing. Like, dude, like that's like I think some of the best like media buyers are just ruthless with the sheer volume of testing. And that's also like what I heard from like everybody that I spoke to. That's like in order to scale from like 6 figures a month to 7 figures a month and like really do big boy numbers, it all comes down to like creative testing, like and volume testing, and just fucking split testing, A/B testing, and trying to basically figure out and uncover like what the winning angle is. And then like
Mhm.
once you kind of have some sort of like winning angle, then it's like okay, like let's remake different variations of these, right? Like let's remake this winning ad creative, but let's get like 10 different creators to do it. Let's get a black creator, a white creator, an old creator, a younger creator, a gay creator to all remake the winning creative. Or like let's remake the like this winning creative, but let's do it with like different variations of a hook. And so like to me, like that was like I think like a big like unlock and understanding that I got from like Alex and from speaking with some of the bigger dogs was kind of just like this, like they were very scientific with like testing, and then based off of like the conclusions that they got from the testing, whatever sort of information they had, then they would kind of run like a whole new batch and continue to basically like refine until they're finding like some of those winning creatives. And then once you have those winning creatives, you're able to pump a lot of spend into them, and on Meta specifically, they're able to last for a very long time.
What metrics specifically are you optimizing for when you're testing? Is it something in the Facebook ads dashboard, or is it something that you're tracking kind of externally in a different software?
Yeah, for me, like the only metric that I really care about is my CAC and my LTV.
Yep.
Like those are like the two main metrics. So like I know where my LTV sits. I'm looking very intently on the CAC, and that's what I got my eyes on.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I think
like everything else is kind of just like there are other metrics that are important, like in Facebook ads. Like people talk a lot about the hook rate and the hold rate. The hook rate is like I think like what percentage of people like watch like the first like 3 seconds, and then the hold rate is like I guess like the percentage that they like retention kind of rate, where it's like how much like they watch through. So obviously like you want to like increase those as much as you possibly can. But even then, like I'll have a creative that has like the best hook rate and hold rate that I've ever seen, but has like a worse CAC than another creative, and it's like it's definitely correlated, right? Like a video with better hook and hold rate is probably gonna outperform something that has worse. But then like I also see like contradictory data, and like dude, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, it's like all these numbers. Like I don't think it's like productive to get like too into the weeds. I think like the biggest thing is like what's your CAC, right? Like what's your customer acquisition cost, and how much do you make off this customer?
Yep.
And like if that's balanced and that equation like makes sense, then like you got a license to print money, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think now it might make a little bit of sense to switch over to talking about organic marketing. From my perspective, you are kind of like the godfather of what I would call the multi-creator strategy.
Yeah.
Does this well first of all, I think it makes sense for you to describe what the multi-creator strategy is. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then does it still work? And can it be applied to SaaS? And are you applying it right now in SaaS?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what is the multi-creator strategy? Let's start off with that. Basically the idea is that, the TikTok algorithm is a bit of a lottery. And so the idea is that like you want to cast as many lottery tickets as you possibly can, right? And the only way that you can do that is with as much volume as possible. And good volume. I'm not saying like put out shit content that's like farmed from like a YouTube video. Like that's not going to get any views. That's going to get stifled. But the idea is like put out as much like high quality content as you possibly can, because you don't know what's going to hit, but inevitably that if you hit a certain amount of volume, like something's going to take off. That's kind of like the overarching idea. And the idea is that like to bring on not just one creator that's posting once a day, but bring on multiple creators, as many creators as you possibly can, and basically setting up each creator with their own independent account. And each account is created from scratch by the creator. It's not like your brand's logins. It's it's not like it's not tied to one device or one email address, but instead to each individual creator. And so from TikTok's perspective or Instagram's point of view, like these are all like separate entities, and they all have an X percentage chance of going mega viral. And basically the idea is scaling out horizontally, and getting as much output as you possibly can. For me, that was a model that I pioneered with Tabs, and had a tremendous amount of success with. That creator sort of scale program was producing mid 6 figures a month, at some of our highest points. Unfortunately, that was not something that worked very well, for one of my consumer SaaSes. And like it's crazy, right? Like I use some of the same creators that I used for tabs, like the same methodology, the same principles, like this everything was like executed the same.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, like it never really kind of hit or took off. And so that's also like where I get like what I want to say before is that like the vehicle and the product that you have sometimes plays a bigger role in your success, or
Yep.
at least your success on a particular channel, right? Um, than anything else. And I've seen that phenomenon like happen many times before. Like that's a story for another time. But like like some products or some businesses may be more like prone, or if it's like supported by like Meta or like organic or Twitter, like whatever, or like or paid ads or this or TV ads. Like it's not kind of like a one shoe fits all. And
Yep.
that's why like when I initially launched like one of my first micro SaaSes, um, you know I tried every channel. Like I tried organic, scaling across multiple accounts with multiple creators. Didn't really work. I tried Instagram theme pages, which also was making six figures a month for my e-commerce brand tabs. Didn't really work. I tried Google ads. It was not profitable. I tried TikTok ads. Boom, it worked, right?
Wow.
And it hit real and it hit really hard. And it's okay. Like
It's really
let's double
interesting
down
that it
on
would
TikTok.
work on
So
TikTok ads, just not with TikTok creators. Like that's
yeah,
extremely surprising to me. I just it really doesn't actually make any
yeah.
sense at all when I think about it. But
I don't know. Maybe I needed to give it like a bigger shot with the creators. But I did test it quite intensively amongst like 7 or 8 different creators. Like nobody had
yep.
any sort of like viral videos or winners. Nobody like not a single creator was like profitable for me.
Mhm.
And so I kind of ended up shutting down the operation and again testing other platforms. And like I think like hopefully like that's a key message that that if you're listening right now, like you're taking from this is that like dude, the best of the best, like test a fuck ton, fail a fuck ton, and quickly, and they move on. Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Yep.
Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. And then when you get a sliver of potential, right, or a sliver of an indication that like, oh, like this one thing could work, and this makes sense. That's when you need to like 100x, like double down on it. Not even
Mhm.
double down, but like 100x, like down on it
Yep.
um, you know, and really go all in on it. And that's kind of like the framework that I think is probably like what's going to help somebody, be successful. Because you could do it again. You could copy my landing page. You could copy my product. Or you could like listen to what I'm saying and be like, oh, like creators worked really well for this guy. Like let's split scale creators, or Facebook ads worked really well for that guy. I'm gonna go hard on Facebook ads. Like the reality is like everybody's in a different position. Like your product and opportunity like vehicle has a big influence as to what's going to work for you. And instead of trying to like force stuff, like take the principles. And so the biggest principles is test, try, see something that works, 100x, double down on it, and go all in on it. And I think that kind of mindset will get you very far. And you have to remember too that like 99% of stuff that you do try will not work, and that's okay. That's part of the game.
Yep. I think one of the things that is most important in testing is actually understanding what is working, which is like notoriously hard, especially when you're doing something like TikTok organic ads with creators. How do you think about attribution? I guess across the full stack. Obviously, it's a little bit easier when you're doing paid, but how do you know which
It's
creator
not.
is
It's
is
not.
is
It's
is
not.
creating money for
Yeah,
you?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question. Like, dude, you have to have like a spidey sense,
Mm.
like, dude, like for tabs when I was running tabs, like, dude, I could look at like my sales like at like 10 a.m. and be like, okay, like this is what I'm gonna do for the day.
Yep.
Like I just had like that like spidey like instinct and sense where it's like, dude, like I knew like if I did like 10K in sales before 9 a.m. then like I was gonna do
Mhm.
this amount of money for the day, or like if this video like keeps running like it's like really like to say like, oh, like use like this like attribution tool, or use Hyros, or use like this software, like bullshit, bro. Like at the end of the day, like it's really about like, I'm not saying to like just like to be a psychic with it and just only rely
Mhm.
on your gut, but like it's a matter of like looking at a bunch of different data, a bunch of different analytics, like training your intuition, training like kind of like what you're seeing, pattern recognition, that I think really can only come from you, and having like a very keen finger on the pulse and sense of what's going on, and
Yep.
basically be able to estimate things. Here's what I will say though, is that like, you also like never really know. Like, dude, so I was scaling, one of my micro SaaSes. We're spending about 20K a month on Facebook ads,
Mhm.
at a very steady, CAC, at a very steady customer acquisition cost. I then scaled from 25K a month to 50K a month to 70K a month to 90K a month. And Facebook is still saying that my CAC is around the same.
Uh-huh.
And yet my overall revenue is not growing, like not growing like much at all.
Mm.
Right. And since then, I've actually done the opposite. I've been cutting back on Facebook ad spend, cutting back on it quite aggressively.
Yep.
And my MRR and revenue is staying the same. And so, like, it's like, how do I explain that one? Like
Yeah.
if I'm going by like what Hyro says or the analytics say, or like Facebook, like CAC says, like, I'd just be dumping more money. So like, it's really, I think, I don't know, like looking at things in isolation, looking at a bunch of different, statistics, looking at things holistically, but then really kind of just like trusting your own judgment, to basically be able to like make conclusions based off of all of the like, information sets that you're paying attention to.
Yeah, I think maybe the problem is at the end of the day is like these ad platforms are really just like they have one incentive, and it's to get you to spend as much money as possible. So it does kind of make sense to some extent that you can't always trust that first party data, and sometimes you gotta just look at the charts, see that if you have a video ripping and you have that feeling in your
Right.
that little tingle in your
Right.
balls, and you're like, all right, that's the
Yeah.
creator for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. Exactly, bro. And also like, like paying attention, like what, how does, like just like based off your intuition and feel, like what happens when I'm juicing spend? Like, I
Mm.
juiced like ad spend this month, but like I didn't see revenue that increase. Like, let's try cutting spend. Like, will revenue drop? No, it didn't.
Yep.
Huh? Maybe there's been a lot of wasted ad spend,
Yeah.
and it's a kind of like playing like games like that. Like, if I do this, what will happen? If I do that, like what will happen? And actually like, seeing them through. Um, and I think that like you'll uncover a lot about your business that way.
Yeah. It just really comes back to that point. You just got to test literally
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah. I
Cool,
sound
man.
like a broken record now, but yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
I no, I think it's an important to like to kind of sometimes combine things into a framework like that. But I think maybe now it makes a little bit of sense to talk about your new SaaS, which I can say the name of. It's called Bustem. Um,
Yeah.
Now, kind of a similar question to the one I asked earlier. What made you now go from e-commerce to B2C SaaS to B2B SaaS? Why are you like grass is looking green over here on the
No,
B2B
no,
side of the
no.
world?
So I like to play. I like to play in spaces that I have an edge in.
Hmm.
Okay, like remember how we were talking about like building a concept that's like maybe already been validated or like I know is ripe with like for distribution on short form. Um, Listen, I'm an ecom guy. I've been in the ecom space since I was 14. All my friends are ecom guys. I know a lot of people in the industry. I know a lot of people in the space. So that's number one. Number two is I have a following on Twitter or X now of 45,000 e-commerce entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
I've sent through like millions of dollars in deal flow to e-com agencies and other softwares, friends of mine and or companies that I worked with. Like I've sent through literally like thousands of leads and millions of dollars in deal flow, in aggregate across like, 14 different agencies and software companies. So I've demonstrated that, I'm able to actually like, move the needle, and sell through, my personal brand and my following.
Right.
And then third is, like I have like some cloud in the space and like I want to take advantage of that. And so I think that like those three things combined, give me a very unfair advantage to rip in, servicing e-commerce merchants. So
Hmm.
then the question becomes like what do I want to service them with? Right? Like I know that I could sell to e-commerce merchants like no tomorrow. Like, I know that just through like going through my contacts list, I could sign like 100 brands like tomorrow. Right. So the question becomes like, well, like what do I want to sell? And so, I could sell a course or start an agency and probably like make a lot of cash from that,
Mm.
right? Like I could probably make like a good amount of money. But then it's like, okay, like how long term is that? Like I know that I could do that like for like a month or a year, but it's like how long could I keep that going for? Do I think that I could actually provide like a good, service or product? Do I like want to do that? Am I excited by that? Like, is that something that wakes me up in the morning? Like those are like the questions that I begin asking myself. For
I think
course, like that's
I
like,
think
like certainly
another
not.
good question is like,
Yeah, go ahead.
are you building equity? Right? Like I
Right.
feel
Well,
like
no, that's well, yeah, of course, of course. No, that's what I mean about like it being
yeah,
short term. Yeah,
yeah,
100%. It's like, yeah, it's short term. There's no equity. So
100%.
it's like, so it's like fuck no to the course, right?
Mm.
I think that would just like burn my reputation, and it would be a complete like rinse and cash grab, and burn a lot of like amazing relationships that I have.
Mm.
In terms of the agency, like I don't really want to do that because, in my opinion, dude, especially when you're starting out, an agency is like having like a glorified job. Okay. Like that's what like an agency is. Like you're working your dick off. The only way that you can scale is like with more human capital. Like it's like having three jobs. Like no, everybody always has a problem with their agencies too. Like nobody's fucking happy with their agency. If something goes wrong, it's always the agency's fault. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be an agency. And so then it's like, all right, like what other value like can I add to e-com merchants? And to me, like it was like software, like a software tool. So like it's always been in my head, like since I sold tabs, like that I want to take advantage of the positioning that I'm in of being a maven in the e-commerce like space, and build something that I can sell to e-com merchants. And it's always been in my head like that thing is probably software. The
Yeah.
problem that I had for a long time is like, again, I don't want to sell people shit. Like I want to sell something that's gonna like make their life better and like disrupt the market and like, and be something that can really be huge and something that can really take off and something that's gonna like, change the space and change the game. And for a long while, like I was clueless, dude. I had no idea. Like up until recently.
Yeah, I think
Up
that's
until
something that you
yeah. And so
I
I've
think
been
something
patient.
that's a trend that I see a lot where it's just like once you make that first chunk of change and get something to work, then like do I actually care about like you realize that like do I actually care about doing this thing and want to do it for the long term becomes a lot more
Right.
important. So I think
Right.
that move makes a ton of sense from that
Well, it's
perspective as
also
well.
yeah. From that perspective, it's also like exhausting. Like having to like change things every month or like reinvent the wheel every month. Like, you know, like there's a huge like even if you don't have a chunk of change, I like actually if you don't have a chunk of change, like focus on like acquiring a chunk of change. I do.
Yeah.
I will
I'd
say, like,
I'd
dude,
say
like
get your
yeah,
freedom and then do something
yeah,
that you care about.
yeah. But like if you can do both, like all the power to you. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's the ideal world, right? Because
Mhm.
like here's what I'll say is that like things compound with time. Like everything gets easier. Like if you're doing the right thing, like things get easier with time. Things get better. Your team gets better. Your skill gets better. Like you become more knowledgeable. Like everything just like becomes better. Everything improves, right? You have more time to optimize things, see problems, fix things, etc. And so, like that's like probably like as a young entrepreneur that's listening to this, like probably like the most valuable asset that you have. And everybody gets the same amount of time. Well, not, I mean, theoretically, I guess people pass away and sort of, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like,
Yeah, of
there's
course.
no like, it's like it's not like rich people get more time than poor people. Like we all have like an equal playing field in that sense. It's like the most like fair, currency that there is.
Yep.
So like take advantage of it. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. I'd like to draw things back into kind of the marketing world for a second. When you sent
Oh no, I
me,
didn't even get to tell them my new B2B SaaS. But okay,
well,
sorry.
no, we're still
Sorry.
talking about the B2B SaaS. We're
Okay.
talking about Bustem. We're talking
Okay.
about Bustem still. So when you
Okay.
sent me the first version of your website, I was like astonished with how well optimized it already seemed like the funnel was. I think
Thank you,
something
brother.
a lot of B2B specifically entrepreneurs could learn from you is how to build a website that is designed for conversion. So how do you think about that? How do you go about building that website?
Yeah. Um, and again, like this goes beyond the website, dude. Like it's like the website is just like one example, but
Mm.
it's like businesses that succeed like have like a dialed website, dialed like email and SMS, like dialed like client ascension, dialed like ads. Like everything needs to be dialed
Yep.
in order like for the business to flourish and take off. And like in order for like Facebook ads to work, for example, or like this concept to work or that concept to work. So like, it's not just like the website, but I do appreciate the compliment. In terms of like talking like about the website,
Mm.
for me, again, it's like from being in the space for like the last like, 8, 9 years, and like studying the greats. Like when I look at a website and somebody asked me to like, in fact, today, dude, which is funny, somebody paid me for a consulting call, and the whole entire thing was like, dude, roast my website. Like, give me
Mm.
advice on my website. I told him, go look at Javi Coffee. Go study Javi Coffee, Javy Coffee. I'm great friends with the founder, Brandon. They do tens of millions of dollars a year. Probably one of the best optimized landing page I've ever seen.
Mm.
Right? Go look at Carpe. Go look at Ori Nutrition. Go look at Seed. Like, dude, I can give you like 14 different like brands and websites that I'm like inspired by and I'm taking notes of, and I'm trying to pull like the pearls out of, from each one.
Yeah.
And then I try to basically like, pack my website with the very best from what I see in the space. So again, like I appreciate the compliment,
Mm.
of like, wow, like what a phenomenal website. But like, I'm standing on the shoulder of like giants that came before me.
Yep.
And, really just trying to, see like from others, like what's working, what's not working. And then once I have something, it's constant refinement. Like the website that you see today is going to be radically different than the website that you see in a year from now. Like
Yep.
over the next 12 months, like pricing adjustments, like let's test showing this here versus there. Like, let's improve this. Let's improve this banner. Let's improve the sticky cart. Let's improve the pricing card. Like, like every month I'm like, just trying to put a concerted effort to like dial things in and just, try to get like squeeze out small gains.
Yeah. 100%. That makes
And
sense.
that's the mindset that I apply like to every part of the business.
Yeah, I think a good takeaway for B2B founders here is maybe stop looking at other business software's website and modeling yours off of that. Maybe try, especially if you're running ads, try checking out some of these e-commerce players because like those are the masters of conversion, right?
Right. And then the other thing too that I'll say is that like I was saying before, like, dude, like job's not finished. Like it's never like done. It's never like
Yeah.
final. Like we are constantly optimizing and improving and iterating on every single piece of everything that we do. You know, and like
100%.
that's I think like that's a great framework to live by. Is like, how do I squeeze out like an additional 3% gain? And if
Mhm.
you can squeeze out like 3% gains across every piece of your business, like in 6 months, like
Compounds
you have a
really
completely
fast.
brand new business. Yeah.
Mhm. Right on, man. I'd love to hear a little bit more. I don't think you've had a chance to explain what Bustem is, so I'd love to give you a chance to share that because I think it's a great concept. And then also, what is your marketing plan aside from leveraging all this goodwill that you've built up and this audience that you've built up over the years?
So Bustem is your digital watchdog. Bustem is a tool for e-commerce merchants to find bad actors, copycats, infringers, counterfeiters, and then basically take them down. So like what we're seeing in e-commerce specifically, really all online businesses, but like e-commerce specifically, is that there are a ton of competitors and bad actors that exist that steal your shit. Whether that's a product image, whether that's an entire landing page, whether it's the product itself, whether it's one of your ads, like it's just the space is completely unregulated. And there's really not much that you can do about it. Like it doesn't make sense like hiring a lawyer or working with a lawyer or like going through a lawsuit. It's very expensive. It takes a long time. And to get what, like a couple of dollars out of like a 17-year-old drop shipper that lives in a different country, like good luck, right? So basically what our tool does is it scans through social media networks, marketplaces, Shopify sites. It basically digs through the entire web, leaving no stone unturned, finding any potential bad guy that's using any of your brand's IP, and then it basically gives you tools to help take these bad guys down. One-click cease and desist letters, physical mail, one-click DMCA notices, the software will automatically find every single one of their providers and enablers. So like their payment processor, the software that they use to do their emails, like the software that they use for like their inventory management, like finds every single, company that's connected to the bad guy and then
Mm-hmm.
starts sending emails to them. We even have
Mm.
a feature to send a letter to the person's mom. We find the owner and we send a letter to the owner's mom. And
Wow.
so like basically, A, we name and shame. And B, there are some like legal mechanisms as well. Not necessarily like suing, but again, like DMCA and cease and desist and potentially even escalating to that point, in order to basically get rid of these bad guys. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, the idea and the tool. And I think it's got a lot of legs, a lot of opportunity. I'm super excited. I haven't been this excited about, a business in a very, very long time.
I
In
love
terms of,
the emailing your
yeah, go
mom
ahead.
feature. I think if I
Tell
got
me.
a cease and desist, I might see myself just being like, all right, let me rip this up. But if my mom gets a cease and desist
Right,
about my business, that's gonna be a tough call that I'm not sure that I
right,
wanna take, and that might make me
right,
change my mind. So I like that a lot.
right, right. Well, dude, I mean, forget it. Imagine you get a cease and desist letter, and it's 8 pages thick, detailing everything about you and all your actions.
Mhm.
That's pretty fucking scary,
That
dude.
is true.
But in any case, and in terms of kind of, to answer your second part of your question, like how am I going to market this?
Yep.
One, like my relationships, network, connections, using my personal brand. And then I think like, dude, the old fashioned way. My plan is to like go to all the e-commerce events and conferences that are going on and, just be a fucking dude, shake hands, boy people up,
Yep.
take people out for dinners, whatever. Like, dude, I don't think that there's going to be like any sort of like rocket science, like content blitz, horizontal scale bullshit here. Like I think
Yeah.
it's pretty simple. Like go to where e-commerce merchants are. Like fuck, I'll even fly down to meet with big e-com merchants, face to face. Like,
Mhm.
if they're doing numbers, like, dude, I'll be on a plane and in their city and uh, you know, just whining and dining and getting them interested and getting them on board and on the platform. And then I think the other thing that I have going too is that like, listen, like I was I was like a bit of a Twitter influencer in the e-com space,
Uh,
for quite some time. And I think that I have like some very unique insights. And I could push it, through my own channels, but then I can also like find other like Twitter, like e-com influencers to also kind of push it as well. And that's something that I'm also planning on doing. So I don't know. There's a lot that we're doing. Like we're also like doing SEO. Like we're already investing into SEO like
mhm.
today, even though we're
Oh, interesting.
pre-revenue.
Yeah.
Because like I'm very bullish on this and I think it's a long-term bet. So there's we're also going to be doing like cold email and cold phone, like cold calls, and there's a lot of stuff. Like what I told you before,
Yep.
test, test, test. I'm going to be trying everything, and we'll see what works and double down on that.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll have to have you back in a year, and when you're at probably easily over $1 million ARR, we can talk again
Hopefully,
about
hopefully,
what's working for you.
hopefully, man.
All right. So one more thing that I wanted to do um, is share with you what I've been working on. I'll
Yeah,
try to. I
tell me,
haven't.
bro. What do
I
you got cooking?
I haven't done this pitch yet. So go easy on me. But I want to hear what you think about the pitch, and I want to hear what your thoughts are on the product because I think it's something that you could potentially use in your new business. So one thing that I noticed while building Drippy is that there's like a fundamental issue with how customer communications are kind of managed in traditional email platforms. Right now, the data model is this: you have this data in Stripe, you have this data over here in like some event platform, whether that's like a Mixpanel or Segment or Post Hog. And then you have some data in your database, and then in order to like combine that data or use that data in an email, you oftentimes just have to like create a list in some email platform provider. And then manually your developer has to like insert the fields. So you have to have a field saying like this person is 400 ARR or whatever that data that might be that you need to inform your emails or your actions. But I think there's a better way to do this. And essentially what I'm building is a application that pulls all this data in for you. So you just one click connect your Stripe, one click connect whatever event tracking you're using. You can even plug in your database, and we're going to take all the data about your users and build the best workflow builder in the game. So if you want to For example, send an email to a customer like right when they cancel. That's easy. That's one click. You don't have to talk to your developer for a second.
Oh, dude,
If you want,
this is huge. Because, dude, I had to build out all these custom events in
yep,
Klaviyo, and I had to like hire like yeah like oh my web developer, and like they had to work with like my with some of my software engineers, like so they were
yep,
working together, and then like we were like doing testing, and it wasn't firing properly. Like, dude, it was a whole entire shit show. Um,
yep.
yeah,
100%. So
yeah.
the idea is at least especially for the Stripe events. I've already built this out. It's one click. You connect your Stripe, and then you immediately have all the possible events that you can pull for Stripe. Stripe has obviously pretty much everything, almost everything you need to know about your users. So when they sign up, when they upgrade, when they downgrade, when they cancel, when they I don't know,
Oh,
when they
dude, that
text
would
their
be
mom.
so helpful.
So that's one click. And then on top of that, I don't know what type of event tracking you do already, but it'll be plug and play with pretty much all of the event providers. Um, and then let's see what else. The last thing is just like building email segments is a pain in the ass. So like, let's say today you wanted to email all your users that subscribed in the last month and have an LTV of greater than $150. Would you be able to do that?
Wait, sorry, say it again.
Like let's say that let's say that today I ask you right now, you have to send an email, but only to all of your users who subscribed in like let's say January and have an LTV of
Oh,
$400.
dude. Oh my God. I would have to
No, it's
like
impossible. You have
I'd
probably
have to
like
wait like
one
three
list.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to wait like 3 days to like get in touch with my web developer that then will work with my engineer. Yeah, it'd be a mess.
Yeah, so essentially the way I'm thinking about it is kind of a better version of Klaviyo, but built for SaaS. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the
I
pitch
like
right
it,
there for
bro.
you.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
Awesome,
I
and
think it's a really fucking good idea.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I'd love to know like how would you think about marketing this? I mean, I'll give you my plan, I guess, what it is so far. One of the things one of the marketers that I looked up to a lot in the space is Cody Snyder. I'm hopefully who will hopefully be the first or second episode of this podcast. So more to come on that soon. But Cody has this concept of digital gravity, where essentially the idea is you just try to get in front of the people that you want to sell to as many times as possible. So one of the ways I'm going to do that is through this podcast, building an email list, cold emailing people episodes of this podcast, running Twitter ads to people who like basically pulling the email list, running Twitter ads to those people, running Facebook ads to those people. What else do you think I should be thinking about?
Yeah, what I was saying before is like something that I think you should be thinking about, which is like, dude, I think like in person is like pretty underrated.
Yeah,
Like I think it's super underrated. Like, dude, to your point about like whatever gravity, like it's just called getting in front of your like your ICP, right?
yeah. I don't think there's any
And like
stronger gravity than
and like
being face to
like
face with someone.
actually being face to face,
Yeah.
literally, right? And like, dude, there are conferences that exist that like pool like it's fucking shooting fish in a barrel, where it
Mhm.
pools like thousands of of people that fit your ICP that are all
Yep.
in one place in one room, and all you have to be is like a cool dude, like be yourself, like a normal guy, and you and you're off to the races. So it's like,
Yep.
dude, I don't know. I think like people seem to overcomplicate things,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, like you have a product, you want to sell the product, like get in front of them, make sure you have a good product to sell, which you do. I know you do. And I don't think that you need to over engineer. Like I don't know if you need to do like, you know, podcasts and this and that and eight other things. Like
Yeah.
I will say like be weary of like trying to do too much.
Yeah. I think that
But
makes sense.
try everything. Try everything. The other thing that too that I'm going to be doing with Bustem that I suggest you to do is there are like super affiliates that exist.
Mhm.
Like there's a guy that was like head of acquisition for a software company for e-commerce merchants. I'm not going to say the name, but they're a big they're big. They service e-commerce merchants. They're a big software company, and he was like head of like their like client acquisition. He's got a Rolodex. He told me of 500 e-commerce brands that are doing $25 million plus a year. He's like, you
Wow.
give me the word, and I'll shoot out intros,
Mhm.
right? Dude, one guy like that with that kind of a Rolodex and book of business is worth like, you know, a lot. Like way more than like Facebook ads or cold email is going to be effective.
100%.
So like So I'm trying to figure out like who are my super affiliates? Who are the people that like have like a bunch of like friends and relationships and are super well networked in the space? And then how do I give them like make it worth their while? You know, like maybe I pay this dude $5,000 a month to be like shooting out like a fuck ton of intros for me. That's like
Yep.
the easiest, fastest ROI I've ever seen.
Maybe you
You know, so I,
take some money, take some investment from him, and
right.
get some skin in the game. Yeah.
Right, or give them some advisorships. That's something that I'm doing
Yeah.
with Bustem. Is like we have like 15 super affiliates that are
Hmm.
like agency owners and software owners and like super affiliates that are super well networked that'll be able to like help us really spread this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that makes a ton of sense because affiliate really is a power law game where almost all the money is usually coming from just a few people. So I feel like you're just skipping the nonsense of trying to attract a bunch of affiliates and just going straight to the source. So how did you go
right.
about like identifying and connecting with those super affiliates?
Yeah, I mean, like again, like for me, I've been in this space for a long time. Like I know these
Yep.
guys personally. You know, and these super affiliates like they're all either agency owners or like software owners, right? So if they're an agency owner, like they have like a book of business of like 10 to 50 e-commerce merchant clients, that they interact with every day. Like,
Yeah.
bro, if they can be like my like a champion of me and my of Bustum and be like, hey, like you need this tool, like when it makes sense, they can change the game for me, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I guess it's like, dude, I think like the biggest thing is being solidified in your space and playing to your competitive advantage. Again, like
Yep.
the whole reason why I'm building in this world is because like I have this distribution, the years of in the e-commerce world, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and you already have those connections. Well, I don't already have. I already have some of those connections from being in the SaaS world for a little while. But if you're in my shoes, how would you go out about attracting those super affiliates?
If I'm you, how would I make those connections? Yeah, dude, I guess just putting yourself out there. Like, dude, none of this
Just
is rocket science. You know
just
this. Like,
DM.
dude, like, yeah, like, dude, DM people, like, get on calls with people, like, ask your friends that are connected. Again, like, go to these conferences that exist. Like, dude, nothing that we do as entrepreneurs and founders is rocket science, man. Um,
No, I think we're good. I think we can wrap it up here. So there's no worries there. I appreciate you staying on for that last 10 minutes.
awesome, brother. Dude, really
Yeah.
appreciate you having me on.
Dude, I appreciate you coming on. I think it's bigger for you to come on than bigger for me to have you on my first episode of the podcast that was 0 viewers. So I appreciate that.